How's it going, guys? It is Fake Thriller and snoov603, and we want to let you know that there is only 21 days until Battlefield 4. 3 weeks out, people. 3 weeks out. So I think what we want to talk about in today's video is a little bit of current look and retrospective at the overall class balance between Battlefield 3 and what we know so far in the Battlefield 4 beta. So Snoov, do you want to give us like maybe a recap on what our general feelings are on the Battlefield 3 class system?
Yes, I don't know, like, for the long time, I didn't even really consider anything about any balance issues with Battlefield 3, but a lot of people kind of brought it up to how, maybe not overpowered, but imbalanced the assault class is, because you can be able to heal your teammates and revive your teammates, and it doesn't seem like a lot at first, but it actually is a really, really big deal, because you can just, you know, infinite revive your teammates. You keep yourself freaking healthy non-stop, and that's actually a really, really big deal inside the game. And then you go over to the engineer class, and so you get a repair torch to keep your vehicles repaired, or to even damage other ones if you get close enough, and RPGs, again, to deal with them, or anti-air. Support, all I have is C4, which requires you to get extremely close, which in most cases you really can't do. It's not that easy.
You gotta get close, and then you gotta get far away.
Right? Yeah, it's not easy. You're better off setting up traps for them, which does work very, very well. And then you've got mortar, so you can attack from far, but the mortar really doesn't do much. It's kind of like dropping marshmallows. And then recon had nothing until we get the crossbow. But, you know, excluding that because it's available for everything, I mean, recon had nothing. There was really no reason to use recon unless you just wanted to be a sniper and sit out back and do nothing. You know, not to say that's what everyone did. There were definitely some useful, aggressive recons, and you could use things other than the, you know, sniper rifles. But overall, it was a great imbalance because there was really no good incentive to use the recon class, and pretty much everyone wants to use the assault class because that's what kept you alive the longest. I mean, it even made sense to use it on some of the bigger maps with a lot of vehicles just because, you know, if you could get into cover for a couple seconds, you could just throw down a med pack and you were good to go.
Let's put it this way. Snoov did a pacifist challenge where all he did was revive people.
Yep.
And took the top place in the game.
I took third. I went 0 in, I think it was 47, and Epona did the same thing with me, and I think she took 5th on her team, and she was about the same. We were like 0 in the 40s. I may even actually be in the 50s now I think about it. But I took 3rd place.
Right.
I mean, that was a lot of points that I got, and that was just playing as an assault. All I was doing was reviving and healing, but it was primarily just reviving people.
Right, and in the way the Battlefield 3 system worked is, I guess for the most glaring example is go into a, like, well, first of all, go into a close quarters match, and there's almost no reason not to play assault. You know? Like,
oh yeah.
Like, you're not going to need C4, and you're not going to really need RPGs because they're not that effective against infantry. And then that sort of rolls into even game modes like Rush on Grand Bazaar or something. These smaller, mostly infantry-based maps just lead to just medic revive trains left and right and center.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of the other biggest problems with the assault class was the fact that you could run in a room, I don't know, let's say Op Metro, and you're playing inside the locker room, and your team gets wiped out. But you know, it's like it's really close. It's like all trades, and you come in and you get like the last guy. So out of like 10 people, you're number 11 on your team, but they still only had 10 on the enemy team, and everyone's dead. And all 10 of your teammates are lined up. You just fucking ping, and you hold them out. You don't even need to like keep recharging them. You just touch them together once and hold them out to revive, and you can just hold them like there and just walk through people like the second coming of Jesus, reviving people like fucking crazy. And you can do that all in like 3 seconds. And you're like, okay, so this big badass hard fought battle was just nullified in literally like 3 seconds.
We've all seen it. We've all seen it on our kill cams. The last guy who finally got us. It doesn't even have to be the numbers that Snoov's talking about. It could be you versus 5 people, and you kill 4 of them, but the 5th guy gets you, and then here come the paddles, and then every single one of those guys is back up, and they're on your MCOM before you can even tell your team about it.
Right. So, okay, at this point we've covered all of the issues and the imbalances that was in Battlefield 3. Now let's discuss what they've done differently with Battlefield 4. And right up front, the Too Long Didn't Read version of it, they've balanced it. And I think they've done a very, very good job because they all 4 classes have something very worthwhile to use, and it's not like the assault class now is like, okay, well, this has like a lot more incentive to use over everything else.
I think the best focus on this conversation would be to look at how the assault class was the big impactor in Battlefield 3, and now we go and look at, so far in the Battlefield 4 beta, we were just playing a few rounds with Epona as our recon, and she was lighting up the enemy team with SOFLAM markings, and we were taking people down left and right, and it's like, wow, you can actually be effective now. Thanks, recon.
Right. That's another topic, because that is actually a very, very interesting topic we can go in depth on for another day. But yeah, it's great, because now it's not just like you had in Battlefield 3. You had 2 opposite ends of the spectrum. You had the assault, which was like, okay, you can fucking do everything, and you can keep the game going and be a one-man army while still playing for the team and doing awesome. And then you got recon, was like, I guess I can put down my tugs and, hey guys, there's Doritos in the area.
Yeah, but everyone's getting spotted like all the time anyway.
Right.
It's hardly useful.
Yeah, exactly. That's why no one really ever played it. But in Battlefield 4, I mean, I could see recon being one of the most played classes now, because they have that laser designator. And for anyone that hasn't played it yet, what it does is, so what Epona was doing in this case was she was just laser designating all of the choppers or tanks, but specifically the choppers. And now it actually works for RPGs. So if the laser designator paints a target, say an attack chopper, I can fire off my regular RPG, and it's guided now. And that is a huge deal. But, it's a huge incentive to use the recon class now.
The other thing that one could argue that in certain situations there'd almost be no reason not to play the engineer in Battlefield 3. And I feel like they fixed the engineer class a little bit too by giving the little like pea shooter weapons to the engineer, because he gets to have all the rockets on his back and everything. He's the one that gets to get points by taking out and repairing all the heavy armor and the helicopters and stuff. And it's almost kind of reminiscent of Bad Company 2 with the kits that they had. Like, I don't know if you remember Bad Company 2, but all the engineers, like almost all of the guns only had 20 rounds in the magazine. So like you were very ineffective against groups of infantry, but you were the only thing that was effective against vehicles. And I'm just seeing a good balance all the way around as of now, so far in the beta, with class to class to class, all having their own things that they can do really well. And even though part of it is just sort of pulling back the reins on the assault class, I still think it's a good thing overall, because now you'll have this fantastic opportunity for team play.
Yeah, I agree. Just to quickly cover the other classes before we wrap this up. So the assault class in Battlefield 4, what they did was, no longer can you just, quick touch paddles and then just hold them out and revive people.
You mean assault class? You said support.
Sorry, thank you. Assault class. You have to charge them to get the full revive. If you just do a quick revive, you only actually bring them back to about 20%, or it's 25%.
And that sucks, being someone who's revived very often at 20%. Like, you get up and you're immediately put your tail between your legs, and you're like, oh god. Like,
right, but you can decline the revive, which is nice too. As soon as you get revived, you either, on PC at least for the default settings, I didn't change this, so I'm assuming it's the default settings, is if you hit left mouse button, you accept it, and you hit right mouse button, you decline it. Right. So that's nice to be able to have the option around this time. Then support class, they no longer have C4, but instead they have the air burst, which is kind of like the timed or distance relative explosive grenade launcher. So what you do is you point and aim at an object, and it can be any distance. It can be 20 meters or 150 meters. And you aim down sights, put your crosshair on it, you're basically painting it. And then you elevate your crosshairs and fire, and what it does is you set your distance. So if you know a guy's hiding behind a block of concrete down the road, you fire that air burst. You aim at the block of concrete for like 2 seconds, and then lift up and fire it, and that RPG, the grenade will get launched over the concrete block and then explode just on the other side of it, so you can take out guys on the other side. That's nice. Engineer, pretty much everything has stayed the same there. And then recon, they get, again, that laser designator right off the bat. Granted, with beta, that's how it is. I'm not sure it's going to be on the final release. And they also get C4. So that, I mean, it's pretty good.
Not to mention
I gotta say
that they all get access to the carbines or carbines, whichever one you want to say, as opposed to the engineer class getting just the PDWs this time around.
Right. So, I don't know. What are your overall thoughts if you had to give it a grade for what they did with rebalancing all 4 classes?
I like it so far. I haven't taken the bolt action out very much, but I'm digging the overall vibe of, you know, every time I equip a different class, I'm like, yeah, but I want to be able to do what the assault does now. Like, giving up each class to play another one has its ups and downs, and that's the way it should be.
Yep, I agree. I'm excited with what they've done, and I'm looking forward to being able to see and use everything when the full game comes out, because some of these guns I'm getting tired of, man. Although, granted, I need to put more time into it, but that's a different story.
I think that's going to wrap it up pretty much. We don't have a full idea of how everything goes yet because the full game isn't out, but I don't know. We talked about the beta and the class balance and what they've changed. And so what we'd like to know is if you guys think there are any classes that are OP, or whether or not you like the changes that have been made to the different kits between Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. Just let us know down below. And oh yeah, quick reminder, there's only 21 days left until Battlefield 4 is released. So we'll see you in tomorrow's video.
When they're doing their little cutscene.
For those that are fans of the Battlefield Friends show, as well as other shows by Hank and Jed and Johnny Ethco, you should head on over to their store and check out all of the awesome merchandise they have to offer. Hell, you can even have the Noobin gang sing Happy Birthday to a Friend. It's all in the store, so head on over to take a look, or someone's going to throw ammo at your face.